Well, let's talk a little bit about that, and especially considering the reported kidnappings, banditry, and killings in the state. Many have questioned the role of local governments in mitigating and securing the people, especially those threats and eventually the ones that really do happen to people. So let's find a way around these conversations with Mukhtar Lawal Badoni, whom you have seen earlier, in that welcoming slide. He is chairman, Kaduna North Local Government Area. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Well, one is wondering, generally the natural question anyone would be asking now is, there are many who have said that local governments are supposed to be the first line of security. Consequently, the reason we have the level of insecurity we have all over the place is because the local government systems collapsed. Do you agree with them? We can't hear you. Could you kindly unmute?
That are closest to the people at the grassroots level. So, of course, security is a primary concern of every government, and local governments accordingly should be responsible for primary provision of security at the very basic level. So I absolutely agree with the assertion. Local governments have a big role to play when it comes to stabilization of security of lives and properties of the people. So yes, that is absolutely spot.
But then the level of security has exacerbated over the years, especially in recent time in the country. Would you then say that where do we lay this blame, if I can put it there? Well, not blame, well, the word blame used loosely there. Is that to the state governments, to the local governments, or to the federal government? Because every community is supposed to be governed by a local government.
Well, the designers of the system, of course, placed a unique responsibility on the federal government, which is to recruit security personnel, namely the police, immigration, civil defense corps, and the rest of them. And the state government, by the designers of the Fourth Republic democratic system that we are currently practicing under the Constitution of 1999, is supposed to provide complementary services. Likewise, the local government. And there are unique roles that we have to play. We, the local governments, are supposed to support the conventional security architecture that we have, and also to complement them with manpower. Because what you currently have are systemic limitations as it concerns the deployment of manpower. I'll make an example for Kaduna State. When the current state government came on board in 2015, we had 14,000 security personnel of the police force in the state. But now, currently, I think the number stands at 11,000. And comparing that to the population size of Kaduna State, which is 9 million, it means that we require 90,000 police or security personnel across the state as per United Nations standard. So currently, we are grossly on demand when it comes to security forces. But what we have is the state government and the local government coming up with measures to complement the services of the conventional security forces. And that has worked so far in terms of intelligence gathering and also community-based policing as a whole. So definitely the state and local governments have to understand their roles within the system and to play it accordingly in order to get a much more efficient security workforce.
Well, Mr. Baloni, if memory serves me right, the way local government security apparatus went back in time, if memory serves me right, had far little to do with policemen in the context of official police than it did with other apparatus, just as you said, intelligence gathering, community relations, and all of that. Give us an example of your own experience as chairman of a local government and how you approach the security, apparatus that you had, security challenges that you have to deal with.
Okay, I'll just give you a most recent example, right? We've had presidential candidates in the days past that were reported to be in Kaduna, of course, for various political activities. But actually, they were both, or shall I say, three of them that came to Kaduna were all in Kaduna North local government on a particular day at a particular time. And there was reports of a breakdown in law and order in these places that they visited. Well, for local governments, first and foremost, the design that has been created by the state government for us for us to, so to say, use to work as a working model is supposed to be that the local governments are supposed to have monthly security committee meetings, which is supposed to comprise of all heads of security agencies domiciled in the local government, and furthermore to look at cases and threats of breakdowns of law and order, to look at it with a view to proactively tackle them before they happen. And it is due to our proactive measures that we took in securing these locations that there were breakdown of law and order, especially during the PDP presidential rally that happened in the Ranchers Beach Township Stadium that happens to be in Kaduna North local government area. We took very many proactive measures. I recall getting a report in one incident that almost 35 people were arrested proactively, and they were on their way of causing more mayhem at the venue of that particular event. So as you can see, even though we are not saddled with the exclusive preserve of protecting lives and property, but local governments can uniquely look at the situation and proactively take steps to prevent the current situation from further deteriorating. So that's what we did in Kaduna North local government in the recent past. And furthermore, just yesterday, we launched a Security Trust Fund initiative where the local government intends to partner with a certain private sector and public sector elements to put funding together, like the Rapid Response Squad structure that you have in Lagos State. But this is supposed to be implemented at the local government level, where we put funds together in order to complement and to provide various security resources for the security agencies to work even more effectively. So that has been done, and we have gotten a lot of positive responses so far, because Kaduna North local government is blessed to have quite a number of organizations that are economically buoyant that can contribute to this fund. And together with us, we believe that we are giving birth to something unique in the sense that it has never been done at the local government level. And we hope that we will be able to achieve the objectives of the Trust Fund initiative to stem the tide of insecurity in Kaduna North in particular and Kaduna State in general.
If you could shed more light on that trust fund, and I think this is a very, very interesting conversation, really. I mean, we have 774 local government areas in Nigeria. So if we could get it right across the 774, imagine what that will do then to the security of a country at large, because everybody stays in the local government anyway. For that trust fund, what specifically would the funds be used for? So, I mean, would it be to procure equipment for security operatives? Would it be in terms of gathering information, ensuring that you have people around different areas that can gather information and get the appropriate, supports to be able to push that information around? What specifically is that fund looking to tackle? So maybe we can begin to generate more ideas from there.
Well, thank you very much. That's basically the hope and the assertion that made us to establish the Security Trust Fund. If you can get it scaled up for the other 773 local governments in the country, perhaps the issue of insecurity will be a thing of the past. Now, looking at our unique situation in Kaduna North, we have 7 police divisions present in Kaduna North. Furthermore, we have the DSS, we have the Civil Defense Corps, and other security agencies that are all in Kaduna North. But the unique situation in Kaduna North is we have 650,000 residents in a very densely populated area that is the size of 70 square meters. Furthermore, we have 3 million people that commute into and out of Kaduna North on a daily basis. So you can imagine the level and the unique responsibility vested on the security agencies that operate within Kaduna North local government area. That for us is making us to look inwards to bring up unique ideas, like you said, in civil and human relations with the security agencies, and how they interact with various members of the public, knowing how to profile certain crimes so that we don't waste our resources dealing with only minor crimes when we have major crimes that are currently happening within the local government area and the metropolis at large. So furthermore, we have created, or we intend to create with the funding from the Security Trust Fund, a call center, a sort of a unique communication architecture where members of the public are now able to call into the police divisional offices that we have, instead of how you see people having numbers of the divisional police officers that they can call in terms of emergencies of a security nature. Rather, we want to move that away to institutionalize communication between the security agencies and members of the public by making them to call the police divisions like we used to have them in the past. I know that in the past there used to be a unique toll-free number that people used to call into, but currently we don't have those. But we are currently working with one of our telecommunication companies that is based in Kaduna North to provide that service.
So essentially
this, and to further synergize the relationship between members of the public and also the security agencies.
Right. So essentially you're saying that this is
information in real time.
Right. So you're saying that this is centered around information gathering and dissemination. And the question naturally will be just how well then are you maybe exploring the areas of enforcement, some sort of bite, because yes, it's important to gather those information and ensure that the appropriate agencies handle them. But, in terms of, the immediate action, do you have any bite? Because looking at the conversation we were having earlier, the U.S. advisor, for example, Kaduna is on level 4. That's the highest alert, just like Abuja now, just recently. We've seen Kaduna, Zamfara, and all of that. So that's the general sense, at least from that angle, that there are very, very high incidents of insecurity, kidnapping, terrorism, and the rest. So are you exploring some sort of bites, some enforcement? I know there have been talks about local security networks and all of that. Is that also involved in this plan?
Absolutely. A task force is currently being set up to engage members of the public who have complaints about strange faces and illegal activities that currently go on within their neighborhoods across the local government area. Furthermore, I believe that we have a huge role to play when it comes to stemming the tide of insecurity in the state at large, even though Kaduna North local government happens to be at the heart of the metropolis, where we have a very low rate of kidnappings, but we happen to be a sort of value chain that is plugged into the kidnapping syndicates, because people that pay ransoms and collect ransoms usually do them at the heart of town. And with information gathering that we are able to create, it makes sure that we are able to trace these people and to pinpoint them to security agencies in such a way that they would be apprehended in due time. Furthermore, we are planning to also fund the legal process, because there is the enforcement issue which has to deal with arrest, interrogation, taking statements and whatnot. And then there is the ever important prosecutorial process, which is a function of the judiciary and the judicial system. And we believe that that part of the security architecture is severely starved of funding. You can imagine where a defendant or an alleged criminal is having enough funding to employ a very high-level legal representative, and then the state happens to just be overwhelmed by the number of cases, which is why we have a rather high, unusual number of inmates that are awaiting trial in the correctional service at the moment. So we intend to also fund the legal process of prosecuting these alleged criminals when they are apprehended, as all part of the wider enforcement architecture that we are planning to implement.
People will say that these are fine plans, but do you have a timeline for any of the plans, especially with regards to the legal aspect of prosecuting suspected criminals?
Yes, our objective is, in the first instance, to cut the time frame for prosecuting these rather point-blank cases that we have by half. Currently, our data shows that on average, the criminal cases that we have before our courts take 18 months to prosecute to a conclusive level. So what we intend to do is in the first 6 months to bring down the time frame of these cases to not be for a span of more than 3 months, because most of these cases have overwhelming evidences, and it's just a case of processes that lead to a stagnation in the court. So we intend to deploy a team that is able to cut down these timelines by 3 months in the first 6 months. And currently we have a crime register that allows us to see what crimes are peaking at a particular area within the local government area. And it would interest you to know that we have been able to pinpoint a rather disturbing trend of sexual abuse in minors that has allegedly been taking place in pockets around the local government area. And we have set up a task force in conjunction with the State Ministry of Justice and the State Ministry of Human Services to be able to deploy a team that will prosecute these alleged criminals that are engaging in this nefarious activity. And with that, we are able to give it a wider publicity with a view to preventing further cases occurring across our communities.
Are you able to compare notes with your fellow local government chairmen, for instance, within Kaduna and also on a larger scale within Algon, for instance?
Oh, yes. Within Kaduna, we have a peer review mechanism where we sit down with other colleagues to look at measures that are being implemented in our sister local governments. I, for one, in Kaduna North Local Government Council, have been able to present all these new ideas to my colleagues, and every other colleague of mine across the 22 other local government councils in the state is at various stages of implementing that. Furthermore, the state government is also working assiduously to ensure that they bring up measures and initiatives for us at the local government to follow. A case in point will be the farmer herder crisis that is currently dwindling and about to be a thing of the past in Kaduna State, because the state government mandated all local government councils to set up what we call a farmer herder committee that looks at all these crises at the infant stages with a view to solving them arbitrarily, as opposed to how we used to have them, that the conflict will have been full-blown before it comes to the knowledge of the state government, and it becomes a lot harder for the state government to solve. So everything done at the local government level is a lot easier to handle, in the sense that there is that local knowledge that comes with it. And also we're able to arbitrate at the first instance between these warring parties. So definitely there are a lot of initiatives that are being shared across local government councils in Kaduna State. As it concerns Algon at the national level, of course, we in Kaduna State are sending a document articulating ideas and initiatives that we have undertook and that we are currently undertaking with a view to having them implemented across local governments in different states of the country.
Now, in spite of all of this that you highlighted, you still have lots of people who still think that local governments need to do a lot more to ensure that some of these threats that are happening in different parts of the country are, if not reduced to the barest minimum, but at least, you know, impacted hugely. So what would you consider as one of the main impediments to ensuring that local governments actually play their role in ensuring that security of lives and property are protected?
Well, I have a personal and little professional thesis about that. I believe first and foremost is about the political will, which will stem from the quality of leaders that are being elected at the local government level. And I believe, with all sense of responsibility, Kaduna State has been able to do a good job in ensuring that the process used in selecting candidates that will stand for election at the local government level is quite a rigorous one, to ensure that it's only people of high intellect and passion about their local government areas that are able to clinch the seats of local government chairpersons. Furthermore, I believe also that the major impediment operationally for these initiatives to take shape and to stem the tide of insecurity in our local governments has to do with information. Information stemming from public confidence, which will not be gotten if the public are not satisfied with the level of service delivery that is being delivered at the local government level. So definitely, it has first and foremost a lot to do with the political will by the leadership at the local government level, because these things are not are not activities that require financial resources of a kind. And I know that the tempting explanation to it is always that local government needs financial autonomy. But with the little that we are able to get, and with little or no money, local governments and chairpersons of local governments can be able to do a lot, because the people are people that like to subsist and be conformist with the leadership of the day. So really, if one is saddled with the responsibility of leading a local government, I believe the first and foremost step that needs to be taken is to restore confidence amongst the people in the administration of that local government. And then information will start flowing, which will lead to timely intervention that would forestall breakdown of law and order in that local government area.
Could you shed a little more light when you talk about little or no money? Does that have to do with the operations of the joint accounts of local government and state? Don't you get security votes as well?
Kaduna State, in particular, has been practicing financial autonomy for the local governments as far back as 2018, where the local government reform law was passed by the Kaduna State House of Assembly. So in Kaduna State, we don't have the problem of financial autonomy, and the joint account that is currently operated across the state is done so as to further streamline activities of local government to conform with the overall thinking of the state government. And Kaduna State and Kaduna North Local Government Council in particular is a local government council and a state that really operates on the principle of fiscal federalism. So whatever a local government is able to get from the FAC allocation from Abuja is given directly to it. Furthermore, we are allowed and encouraged to actually grow our internally generated revenue so that we can answer to the yearnings of our people. But what I'm trying to say on the little or no funding requirement is really when a leader at the local government level, which is a grassroots level, has the political will, all I need to do, for example, is I can go out there, talk to my traditional rulers, I talk to the people in the local government, and I can douse a situation without spending a penny or without spending a lot of time trying to understand the situation, because I'm a local Kaduna North boy. I was born here, I was raised here. I understand the local lingo and the local context required to communicate with my people. So that's my assertion of saying that there is little or no financial backing required for you to stem the tide of insecurity.
All right, interesting theory there. We need to go though, but just quickly, if you can, do you get security votes as well?
Oh yes, we have a security allocation, definitely.
For local governments?
Yes, local governments have a security budgetary allocation, which is prepared by the local government council and passed by the Kaduna State House of Assembly. So Kaduna State has a unique budgeting process where the local governments are.
How much did you receive this time?
No, like I said, it's just in our budget. It's not an amount that is stable on a local government by local government basis. We look at our unique situation and then allocate whatever resources we are able to get from our IGR and our FAC allocation towards security. So it is not a one-size-fits-all allocation.
Okay then, Mukhtar Baloni, Chairman, Kaduna North Local Government Area. Thank you for your time today and all the best.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right.